Alright guys, so I've been testing with a couple of different zombie builds, and so far this seems to be, at least generally for me, the best one, at least keeping in the Call of the Haunted stuff, which is really powerful. I gotta say, this guy, the Trap, and Ectoplasmic Fortification's okay, but these two monsters, the new Trap and the two new Xyz, are absolutely amazing. This, Great Mammoth of the Graveyard, it's okay, and Vortex of Time, if you play a build that isn't using like Pilgrim Reaper and Zombie Vampire as much like I tend to, then you could play this card. As one commenter pointed out, at worst, it's a negate that banishes one of your monsters, and at best, it does banish their entire field. There is a problem with this card though, being that if you mill it, it's actually just useless, and you have to control Call the Haunted, which you won't always do, especially if you're playing into a board and you open that and you don't open a way into Call of the Haunted, it can be pretty awkward. So that's the main issue with that card. It's only really playable going first. So anyway, let's go ahead and break down the deck. We've got 3 Pumpkin the King of Grave Ghosts. You can reveal them in your hand, set Call of the Haunted from the deck, discard a card. It can be activated that turn. So Call of the Haunted will summon him, basically, and if he's summoned by any means, you can summon a level 6 zombie from your deck, except for one with his attack, being 1950. Also, for the rest of the turn, from the hand and grave, you're locked into zombies as far as your special summons go. You can still special summon from the extra deck things that aren't zombies. So that does leave options like, for example, Krishan Halka Fibrax Prism. And these two or more monsters, including a tuner. If this is link summoned, you can special summon a tuner from your extra deck in defense position with level less than or equal to the total original levels monsters used as its material. And during your opponent's or opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can banish this and summon 3 tokens. That's not very good. The only thing that we might want to do with that could be some, like, if we did some synchro plays in the opponent's turn, someone fell grand. But it's not as very, it's not, like, useful. I could see it being good because it does summon Immortal Dragon. Immortal Dragon can get a dump, and then they can both link into Yukion if you're playing Zombie World. But that won't always be the case. And in this build, I'm not playing Zombie World, but you can. You don't have to play Call of the Haunted. These are, or you don't have to play more than one Call of the Haunted. You don't have to play the field spell. These are just what I'm doing for now because I want to show the things that it can do. Because everyone's already pretty used to Zombie World and Baller Jock and all that stuff, and it's a little more bricky. And if you mill them, then, or if you mill Zombie World, then your deck suffers a lot more than if you mill Call of the Forgotten. Ectoplasmic Fortification, 2 effects. Either if you have no monsters, you add a level 6 zombie or Call the Forgotten from deck to hand. Or the other effect, zombies you control gain 400 attack, and then you can draw cards equal number of Call the Haunted you control. This second effect is like actually just, I don't know why it exists. Just make this card like add a level 6 zombie or Call the Forgotten, even if you control monsters. Like it would just be better than giving it this effect. Anyway, I'm playing 2 Call the Haunted just in case you draw one, so that way the pumpkin is still alive. 3 Delta of Invitation because Eldlich is a insanely good go second push. 3 Elixir of Black Awakening. Also, as far as the Eldritch stuff goes, there's the Fallen Angel of Golden Land, which is basically a Link 1 that you summon by tributing Eldritch. And when it leaves the field, it floats into Eldritch the Mad Golden Lord, who has a tribute a zombie you control and target a face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of it. And it can't use its effects or attack this turn. But a lot of times whenever you do that, you'll have Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord in the grave, and then you'll just banish whatever you take control of to summon Dragon Lord, and it can act as a form of just permanent removal. Also, he's unable to be destroyed by battle card effect, which is pretty nice. As far as the Millenniums go, you don't really have to play them. I don't think you even really should anymore because the zombies are so consistent now. We've got 3 Unizombie, 3 Gazuki, 2 Mizuki. There's 2 Glow Bloom. Glow Bloom is either I'd say a 1, 2, or 3 of, but you have to play at least one Glow Bloom. If you play a Link 1 that you can summon with this, it could be kind of a one card combo with Pumpkin, because it banishes itself to add him. But it wouldn't be a very good one card combo. It would just like make Pumpkin or make Pilgrim Reaper. And if you get some lucky mills with Pilgrim Reaper, I mean, you could do some stuff. But as for the non-engine, we've got 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Ghost Bell, 3 Mourner. They're all zombies. This is relevant because of Curse of the Ancient Turtle and Gazuki. Gazuki, when he's sent to the grave, you banish the zombie from the grave, except for himself, and then you summon a zombie from your hand. If you already have zombie hand traps in the grave, then this makes Gazuki a little bit better. As well as Curse of the Ancient Turtle, it's sort of a one card combo with any hand trap in the deck. So if you use a hand trap, you can banish it with Curse, and it's just pretty nice. Shiranui Solitaire, you don't have to play him. I am, because he summons Volcurion from the deck. He summons Gloat Bloom from the deck. He summons Unizombie from the deck. So Shiranui, I would still play. Mad Mauler. Mad Mauler makes the entire Dragon Lord engine, Felgrand, and Immortal Dragon piece work. He's the whole glue that holds everything together. Mad Mauler, this card is so great. I genuinely cannot express with words how much I love Mad Mauler. Okay, so back to the Eldlich stuff. Sorry, I got distracted. There's also Golden Land Forever. If you mill Elixir Black Awakening or just on follow-up turns, you can banish it from the grave on a turn where you haven't used the other effect to set a Golden Land spell or trap from the deck, which could be Golden Land Forever. As for all of the level 6s, it's just the Pumpkin, Stare of Snakehair. That's a pretty cool name. And there's also Changshi Desperado. Anyone who like really plays zombie should know Changshi during your main phase send a zombie from deck to grave, from deck or hand to grave. If this is banished, you can banish the zombie from the grave, especially when Changshi it goes to the bottom of the deck, which leaves the field. Blackout Laugh's still an option. If you play the Millenniums, then you should also play Zombie Vampire, which would of course include Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, and they can act as a decent push going second. With going first, they normally just act as hand trap bait that costs you life points. So play them at your own discretion. I will say one thing. Don't play the Millenniums and Grass Looks Greener in the same deck. Because what's going to happen is you're going to activate Grass Looks Greener, and then you're going to send 6 cards of the Millennium. You're going to send all 6 of your Millennium Engine to the grave. And then you're just going to be sitting there crying yourself to sleep that night, feeling a little silly. Another option, the Vampire Links, they're okay. There is one Vampire Xyz monster. Let me pull him up real quick, actually. This guy, Dompier Vampire Sheridan. Basically, what this guy does is you use 2 level 6s, or if one of them is owned by your opponent, you can treat it as a level 6. Once per turn, detach material from this targeted card your opponent controls, send it to the grave. That's not a quick effect at all or anything. Or once per turn, the other effect is once per turn, if a monster card is sent from the field to the grave, is sent from the field to your opponent's grave by a card effect, or a monster is destroyed by battles at the grave, you can detach material from him, especially summon one of those to your field defense. If you want, you can play him instead of like Typhon or whatever as the 15th card. For me, Typhon's my 15th card. But you can play this guy. Basically, the idea is you'll destroy the opponent's monster and then immediately take control of it. And you could just use it for link summons or other things. There's a bit of an issue, though, with that specifically, is that this deck zombie locks you in a lot of stuff. So if you destroy something that isn't a zombie, you couldn't summon it back to your field. So if you're playing like a Call the Haunted zombie build, though, where you're only kind of zombie locked and not fully zombie locked like this is, then you could play him. He's a solid rank 6. He's pretty nice. Anyway, as for all the rank 6s we're playing, Willow, Founder of Judge Dragons, same as before, keeping Willow in. Playing Dragon Gate. It's just good for going second. You can try to do a lot of damage to your opponent. Any deck that can make a rank 3 or lower, by the way, can generically go into Dragon's Gate and then generically rank up into the Undying Legion, which is a quick effect, detach 2, or detach 1 if all of his materials are Xyz monsters, and then attach an opponent's attack position monster or one of theirs to the grave to it as a material. That's what the Undying Legion does. Pumpkin the Great Ghost King. While you control Call the Haunted, your opponent cannot target zombies you control with monster effects. That's a decent effect. It's kind of that effect right there is probably the biggest payoff of playing Call the Haunted in this deck is more than a one of. Also, he has this effect. If you special summon, you add a Call the Haunted or a card that mentions it from deck to hand. You can detach material, target up to 2 cards on the field, return them to the hand. This is pretty nice because generally what's going to happen, Pumpkin will set Call the Haunted from the deck. He'll discard himself, Call the Haunted, summon Pumpkin, Pumpkin summon Chang-Chi. Chang-Chi sends something from deck to grave, and then you use 2 level 6s, and you'll either go into Pilgrim Reaper or into Pumpkin. And at that point, Call the Haunted won't leave the field because the monster wasn't destroyed, it was just used for summon. So Call the Haunted will still be there. So you could detach Chang-Chi as a material, and then return the Call the Haunted from your field back to your hand so you can set it and then use it again on your opponent's turn. That might be good enough to make it to where you only need 1 Call the Haunted, but I would still play 2, just to be safe. As for the Synchros, I'll go ahead and go over those real quick. Immortal Dragon, you don't really have to play Immortal Dragon. It's just a really good card. Out of all the Synchros, it's the one that I find myself making the least because generally I only do it through Mad Mauler on a level 6, which is already kind of awkward, or Mad Mauler reducing like a higher level monster like Eldlich or one of the Eldlich extra deck monsters, and then tuning it with Gazuki. Valkyrion the Rotting Phoenix is a level 4 tuner. Unizombie is usually a level 4 tuner. Glow Bloom is level 1 tuner, which comes up because the token that you summon from Delta is level 5. So, Glow Bloom and the token, they can go into Immortal Dragon, and that is actually the most common way that I end up doing it, is that 2-card combo. And it's pretty nice, because if you're doing that, then you're also guaranteed to be doing the Eldritch stuff too. And the Eldritch stuff is really good going second, and going first, it's still free link material. Anyway, uh, on to the next one. Shiryu Shogun Saga. This one is pretty good for going second or for turn 3 plays. If your opponent tries to set up like a monster with a lot of attack points that for some reason Big Eldritch couldn't get through, Shogun Saga is 100% getting through that. And other than just getting through that, he's banishing Chang-Chi from the grave, and the Chang-Chi's banishing a zombie from the grave to summon itself back out, so you can send a zombie from deck to grave. This deck doesn't have the same recycling power through the banished zombies that the regular build that I play has, because you're not playing Zombie Reborn to shuffle back in the banished ones. You can play that if you want. You can do like a 60 card build. But Shogun Saga almost always is going to have 5,000 attack. Just banish Shang-Chi, and it's a way to just get Shang-Chi back on the field. Anyway, Felgrand. Any zombie player should know Felgrand. When you special summon, target a monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard, and you just banish it. And if a monster is summoned from either grave while he's on the field, you can target it with another face-up monster on the field, negates effects till the end of the turn. So Felgrand has inherent synergy with Call the Haunted because you can trigger Felgrand's effect with Call the Haunted. You could summon something from the grave. Say you could summon a Yuki on the Icicle Mayakashi if you have that in there and you have Felgrand on the field for whatever reason. If you're playing the deck like completely backwards. But Felgrand, he also has other synergy with Call the Haunted because Call the Haunted could summon him, and then he can just banish something, and that's a really good interruption. Speaking of summoning from the grave, Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord, quick effect, revive a zombie from your grave during your opponent's turn. It does target, and also, it can summon itself from the graveyard by banishing a zombie you control. As for the links, Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship, it takes 2 zombies. It has 2 effects. You can target a level 5 or higher zombie in your grave or banishment. This becomes a continuous spell, and if you do, special summon that zombie. Now, what I'm about to say came up for me in a tournament that I played over the weekend. If Flying Mary targets a zombie in your grave, and that zombie gets banished, Mary will not summon that monster because it is treated as a different target. That's something that you gotta know. Be ready for it because people could bestial your zombies and it will stop Mary. But if they do that, then you still have a link to, so there's some other pushes you could do. A quick note while editing, I forgot to mention Flying Mary's other effect, which is that while it's a continuous spell, you can target one level 5 or higher zombie you control, and then destroy one opponent's monster that has less attack than the zombie that you target's attack points. Anyway, Yukio and the Icicle Mayakashi, when it's special summoned, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls negates effects, and quick effect you can banish this from your grave. Special summon a zombie Synchro from your grave or banish, and it doesn't target for the summon. Yukio and the Absolute Zero Mayakashi, this is one of the big boss monsters for the deck. You can only control one of her, which is fair enough. Negate the activated effects of your opponent's banished monsters. That's pretty nice. So, Felgrand banishing stuff, I'm not sure how that ruling goes, but I would imagine if Felgrand banishes something before its effect would resolve, she could negate that effect. And, that would also trigger her next effect. If a monster is special summoned from the grave, or a monster effect is activated in the grave, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate its effects. This is permanent. Whatever you use it on is permanently negated and permanently loses all of its attack. This is, like, the main boss monster of the deck. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck, and I'm going to keep experimenting with it. There's some other builds I want to try. I want to do some vampire builds, although I don't think they're going to be as good. I'm going to do some just absolutely silly stuff with pure builds, all the stuff that just came out, like Vortex of Time, the new Great Mammoth. Probably like 2 or 3 Changshi in there, just because Changshi would be good to banish off of Vortex of Time. Maybe a bunch of hand traps too. And then some silly stuff that you could summon with Call the Haunted, and just lean into the summoning on your opponent's turn gimmick. There's another build that I'm going to try to lean into, which is the build where you are using Halqifibrax Prism. Black Goat is still a good option if you're playing the Millenniums. If not, I wouldn't play Black Goat unless you're playing like Thrust or Grass. Zeus is an option. You are not locked into zombies in the extra deck if you do the Call of the Haunted stuff. You're locked into zombies from the extra deck if you use Glow Bloom, because that restricts you into zombies for the rest of the turn. As well as Med Muller. Those both restrict you into zombies for the rest of the turn, and that's something you need to know. Oh, and also Elixir. So you can't play the Eldlich package, you can't play Glow Bloom, and you can't play Mad Mauler on the turn that you would summon Zeus, which could be fine because you could summon him on turn 3. Anyway, I'm going to have some test hands coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to keep on working on zombies. I really want to make zombies work, and thank you for watching. If you're watching on mobile, please do consider hitting the hype button. It helps newer channels like mine, the smaller channels, to get more attention and to help get our videos out. So if you're on mobile, I'd appreciate it a lot if you press that. If not, just watching and sharing anything about zombies would be great. Any insight that any of you have of something I might have missed, I would love to hear. So leave any comments about it. If I'm missing some good zombies, let me know. Anyway, thank you again for watching. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'm hoping to have another video out within the week showing some test hands. I will be uploading some test hands as YouTube shorts, as I've been doing. Any YouTube shorts I've uploaded before today have been using only the zombie cards that were revealed beforehand, and not all the ones that exist now. So they are outdated. I'm going to have some new ones coming out, and they're going to be better than the ones I had before.